Imagine a queen standing alone in the face of unimaginable danger, risking everything to save her people. She wasn't born into royalty, she was just an ordinary girl swept into extraordinary circumstances. Her name was Esther, and her story is one of courage, faith, and destiny. This time, we are diving into one of the most powerful stories in history, a story that could change how you see courage and purpose forever. Let's begin. Hello, friends. Our story begins in ancient Persia, a vast and powerful empire ruled by King Xerxes. Amid the grandeur of this kingdom lived a young Jewish girl named Hadassah. Orphaned at a young age, Hadassah was raised by her uncle Mordecai, a man of deep faith and wisdom. Life wasn't easy for them as they were part of a minority group in a foreign land. One day, the king turned his world upside down. Queen Vashti, the reigning queen, refused to obey the king's command to appear before his court. Her defiance led to her banishment, leaving the throne vacant. The search for a new queen began, and young women from across the empire were brought to the palace, including Hadassah, now called Esther, which was her Persian name. Imagine being in Esther's shoes, taken from her home, immersed in the opulence of the palace and competing for the king's favor. But Esther's grace and beauty and character set her apart. She won the king's heart and was crowned queen. Yet under Mordecai's advice, she kept her Jewish heritage a secret. Meanwhile, a few years later, a man named Haman rose to power as the king's top advisor. Haman was an arrogant, cruel man demanding that everyone bow to him. But Mordecai refused, standing firm in his faith and principles, which would say to bow to God alone. Haman's pride turned into rage, and he hatched a chilling plan, not just to punish Mordecai, but to annihilate all of the Jewish people in the empire. Haman went to King Xerxes with a lie, and he said, "There's a group of people in your empire who do not follow your laws. They are dangerous and they must be destroyed." The king, unaware of Haman's true intentions, agreed, and they issued a decree that set a date for the mass execution of the Jews. Imagine the fear and despair that swept through the Jewish people. They were facing annihilation, and their hope seemed all but lost. But Mordecai had a plan. He turned to Esther, now the queen, their only chance to intervene. Mordecai sent a message to Esther, urging her to go to the king and plead for her people. But there was a problem. Persian law forbade anyone, even the queen, from approaching the king uninvited. The penalty? Death. Esther hesitated, knowing the risk. Mordecai's reply was powerful. "Do not think that because you are in the king's house, that you alone will escape. Who knows, perhaps you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." Ultimately, Esther called for a 3-day fast, asking the Jewish people in the city to join her in prayer, and she prepared herself, both physically and spiritually, to take the ultimate risk. When the time came, she put on her royal robes and walked into the king's throne room uninvited. In that tense moment, the king extended his golden scepter, sparing her life. Esther had won his favor, but her mission was far from over. Instead of revealing her request immediately, Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet. Then another. She was wise and strategic, knowing that this was a delicate situation. At the second banquet, Esther made her move. With courage in her voice, Esther said, "If I have found favor with you, O king, spare my life and the lives of my people, for we have been sold to be destroyed." The king was furious and demanded to know who plotted such an evil act. Esther pointed to Haman. Imagine the shock in the room as Haman's evil was exposed. Haman was executed and his plot was undone. He was executed on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. But Esther's work wasn't finished yet. She pleaded with the king to issue a new decree allowing the Jewish people to defend themselves. On the appointed day, the Jews stood strong and prevailed. Esther's courage had saved her people. Now, Esther's story teaches us that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it. She reminds us that we each have a purpose, and sometimes we're placed in positions of influence for a reason. When we step out in faith, incredible things can happen. Her story still echoes today. Who knows? Perhaps you have come to your position for such a time as this. Now, if Esther's story inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel for more incredible stories of faith and courage. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that they too can make a difference. And tell me in the comments what part of Esther's story spoke to you the most. Let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for watching. I can't wait to share more with you in the next video. See you again soon.